listening to what do you really want to do? What really makes you happy? When do you really see yourself in 20 years' time or 5 years' time or one? Don't show up as the person you think they want to see. Be what you are expecting from you. Be how you want to be. Show the parts of yourself that you want to show. Be as close as possible to the you that you can show today. Because that's another thing. It is just about today.
Okay, so welcome back to Brilliance Unleashed. This is the show when we slow down the noise and we dive into the conversation that matter, the ones that go beyond the surface, into identity, leadership, and the deeper truths of life. And as a part of Making Waves series in Brilliance Unleashed, I sit down with leaders, creatives, coaches who are not only successful in what they do, but also they dare to explore the depth of what it means to be a human, to lead, to make an impact. And today I'm joined by someone very dear to me, Lillan. I'm gonna do the brief introduction, but this introduction it's not gonna give you the full picture of who Lillan is. So Lillan is a certified coach with almost 30 years of managerial leadership experience at advertising. But she I think that what defines her, it goes beyond all the titles. She has a passion for young professionals, a love for bricks and building that lasts, and she is a believer in talent and lived experience above formal education. Her current focus is the theme of belonging, and I'm sure like we all of that heard it in many different concepts, and we're gonna hear that today from Lillan. So what it means to belong in this world and what it means to belong in our families, communities, and in ourselves. Because over years, Lillan and I have many meaningful conversations, that kind that stays with you and change the way you see things. And today we are bringing one of those conversations uh, here for you. So together we're gonna explore what it means to move from performance to impact and how belonging, identity, and leadership all weave into that journey. Lillan, welcome to Making Waves.
Thank you, Anna. I'm honored and really happy to be here. As you've mentioned, we've had a couple of years behind us with many, many conversations. If we don't have a conversation, I miss them. And
Yes.
we reach out to each other to make the next appointment to have one at least. I also believe these days my life is about that. So if people ask me, what is your life about? It is about meaningful conversations. And I don't mean that arrogantly or highbrow or like everything has to have a meaning. That's not the case. But yes, please, let's talk about what really matters to ourselves occasionally. Today we talk about performance and impact. That's funny. So I dressed up. I used to be a CEO of a company. Most of the time that was about performance.
Mm,
But really, I'm not that person. And I read less yesterday, if you were about performance, you are supposed to be very organized. And if you're about impact, you're usually messy. So I think
mm.
the latter describes me better. I am never a straight line. It's always a little bit messy. And hopefully there is impact. But that's what we are going to at least try to discover today. So thanks,
Absolutely.
Anna.
So, Leland, you already gave us a little bit more of who you are, but I always ask my lovely guests, what haven't been said about in the introduction about them, and what do you want our audience to know about you?
Well, I think it's funny because you asked me the question. I think what is something that people need to know about, well, no need to know, but might be nice to know, is I'm not your regular straightforward person. I think I'm authentically me. That means that I'm sometimes direct, I'm sometimes offensive, I try to make people laugh. I'm not the expected person if you talk about somebody in a corporate role.
Hmm.
So I would say put your seatbelts on.
Oh, yes, I totally agree. And I think that every time when I hear someone saying unapologetic, like you're just in front of my mind. I think that it's like you've said about yourself when we just met years ago. And I just can confirm like that you are truly yourself. And I know that today's world like abuse the word of being authentic,
Mhm.
but I think that that's who you are. Whenever we meet, you are Lillan. You're the same person, and you dare to speak your truth. And as you said, like we are not sliding on the surface. We are going into the depth, and that's where, as you said, your life is about this kind of meaningful conversations.
And being unapologetically yourself is also challenging, not only for me, but for everybody, because it means that sometimes people will be scared or scare away or think, ooh, wow, that's straightforward. I have a daughter that sometimes says, Mom, really? You really want to say that? You really want to write that down? And I'm like, yeah, I do. And if people don't like it, yeah, okay, I'm sorry about that, but it is what I want to say to the world or what I want to
Mm-hmm.
message is, and I don't want to sugar candy it. Of course, yes, of course, we'll be respectful always,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm a true believer in respect, and I'm also a believer that you don't need to hurt other people.
Yeah,
I think sometimes, and especially in these days, in this world of today, it's very necessary that we speak up.
absolutely. Absolutely. And when we go with that context of that performance versus impact, how do you connect those things? Because I'm just really curious because it seems like that for me, that impact, it is about being unapologetically yourself and have a courage to speak your truth respectfully, because that's what's going to make an impact. Performance is, as you said, like, yeah, you dress up, you go, you're a CEO, and you just perform certain tasks, perform certain roles. What is your take on that?
Well, of course, I've been giving it a lot of thought over the last week since we were deciding to talk on this topic.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the main issues is performance is kind of short term. Performance is something which is visible. Performance has become the measure, especially in the corporate world, but also in politics these days. We need to show direct results.
Yeah.
Direct results is something that we are being paid for, we get our bonuses for, we get the job, we keep the job that we have because we perform. And of course, that is something that you need to do. I don't think you can do without performance in this world. Maybe if
Mm-hmm.
you live in India and you have a different take on life, you can live without performing every single minute of the day. But unfortunately, we live in this world of performance. Impact is something that can only be measured later on.
Mm-hmm.
Impact doesn't seem to happen immediately. Now I'm saying this, I can envision, speaking in a forum or something and people going home reflecting on what has been said, and there might be already impact. But I think in the majority of the time, impact is something that comes later. So I was thinking of a metaphor like people planting trees, like a grandparent, for instance, that plants a tree, and the only people that are going to enjoy that are their grandchildren because of the time it takes for a tree to grow up and be fully alive and maybe give fruit if it's a fruit tree, then it will happen many, many years later. So I think that is the same for impact. I'm not saying it's years always.
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely a time lapse between doing something and the impact being felt, and
Yeah.
maybe even measurable eventually. And if it's measurable, it becomes performance. I realize.
Yeah, I really like when you said it, absolutely. I completely agree with you because it seems like that in today's world, like things are happening very fast. So you need to perform, right? So it is that kind of success overnight versus success over time when we say it. So impact is it comes what comes to my mind is about the patient, right? Patience. It is about also like slowing down and listening, and also what we
Definitely, definitely.
Yes, and it's like it is influencing over time, and not it's when I'm saying that, I think that it's also performance. It's about us, and impact is about others.
Yeah, yeah, because its impact is what you make on not necessarily others. It could be the world, it could be nature, it could be
Mm-hmm.
art, maybe, and performance. And I'm also, when you say that, what comes to mind is thinking out of the box, very popular line of these days. So thinking out of the box, again, we want to make that measurable. But thinking out of the box and making impact, true impact or long-lasting impact may not be measurable, may not
Mm-hmm.
always be measurable.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but I think it's somewhere along these
Yeah.
lines. Yeah, somewhere along these lines. And it's like, it is like walking into a room full of people and you have to introduce yourself and they say, what do you do? And blah, blah, blah. And then you get these most interesting people because they have the most interesting job. You know,
Yeah.
they have a title, you can relate to a company that you know,
Mm-hmm.
etc., etc. But now there's a guy who looks really good, and he says, "Yeah, I'm responsible for the land of plenty." And you think, "The land of plenty? I'm sorry, who are you?" And what do you exactly do? Yeah, yeah, we make gardens and forests. Oh, okay. And do you make any money? No, no, we don't. We live from donations. This is a true story, by the way. The land of
Mm-hmm.
exists. It's a Dutch. I think it's a Dutch organization. By the way, for the people that didn't get it, I'm from Amsterdam. Um,
Oh yes.
we forgot
We forgot
conveniently,
about, because
and
we are
also because
like
it doesn't really matter.
nomads.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter at all. Um, so the land of plenty, and then if you are a person that's very interested in status and performance, and I think performance and status are related
Mm.
somehow, you probably would move on and think, okay, yeah, nice story, land of plenty, you plant trees and forest and blah, fine. But these people make something for the future. They are preparing the land and the nature so that we can live of it at some stage, so
Mm-hmm.
that it's self-supportive. It's called, how do we call these things again? These, sorry, I forgot the name. A self-supporting blah, blah, forest thingy.
Mm-hmm.
But in an environment very performance oriented, you probably wouldn't be interested in this story. You would be interested in the guy that's the CEO of Unilever,
Mm-hmm.
and is probably the most boring guy in the room because he's always done exactly the same thing. And what he does is he looks at exactly the same numbers, and and performance in that case is always related, and that's the late 20 years to shareholders' performance. The new word.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's not only about your daily performance, it's about the shareholders' performance. So it's all, we are so conditioned that everything should be performance oriented. Now, that started to itch with me years and years and years ago. I was always messy, by the way. So that's nothing new. And everybody that worked with me will say, yes, you were always very messy because
Mm-hmm.
things pop up, you know. So we are going in that direction. We know it's the right direction. It's the thing to do. And then I always get a different idea. So
Mm-hmm.
something pops up in my mind, and I think, well, what if we would do this? Totally not measurable. Why do I think that's right? Because my gut feeling or my sixth sense tells me that's the right thing to do. And if people are courageous, then sometimes we went with it, and sometimes, of course, we didn't. Was it always successful? No, of course not.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes it was successful, and then it was far beyond anything that could have been measured as a traditional performance. And who knew? We didn't know. So, like you
Mm-hmm.
said before, impact probably has a lot to do with listening.
Mm-hmm.
I think impact also has to do a lot of listening to your inner voice, listening to what do you really want to do? What
Yeah.
really makes you happy? When do you really see yourself in 20 years' time or 5 years' time or one?
Mm-hmm.
And what do you want to leave behind? You know, we as coaches, of course, speak about these things. What do we want to leave behind? Do you want to leave behind that you made these numbers year on year on year and you got these amazing bonuses, a lot of money? Well, some people do, and that's also fine.
Absolutely. Yeah, because just wanted to make sure, like also for our audience, that both are needed, right? As always, like we have a yin and yang, so performance and impact is needed. But I think that it's like if we focus on one, that's gonna harm our life, right? Because if we focus only on impact and we will not perform certain tasks, that's
Absolutely.
also like it's gonna be life not in balance, right? So I would just like, because you said about like your job in an advertisement as a CEO, as a leader back then. Do you think that that impact was conscious within you, or you've been performing and it took years to get where you are right now?
Yeah, I don't think that impact was something that I ever thought about.
Mm.
Not really. I think about impact maybe the last 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
I think before it was, but I'm also not the person that thought about performance all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to do my job well. I wanted the company to do well, and I wanted the people to do well. That's always been me. I've always wanted people that work in the company with me to be happy and also performing where they would perform best. So I've moved people around a lot. Somebody
Mm-hmm.
would be in sales, and I said maybe you would be better in production. Somebody would be in client contacts, and I thought don't see that this makes you happy. Maybe you should be a project manager. It's always been the way I operated, trying to make people be in places where they would be able to perform in the best way and probably also make impact. But I don't think either of those were very consciously on my mind. Also,
Mm-hmm.
remember, this is pre the current corporate culture. So after I left that world, I started being a consultant and advising in corporate cultures, and I just couldn't believe it. I was just, really? Is this the way you work? Ah, okay. I'll give you an example that I wrote down the other day. When I was in a marketing consultancy, we were responsible for lead generation. And one of the companies that we did that for was a quarterly driven company.
Mm-hmm.
So we created sales leads for that company for the quarter. And then at the end of that quarter, everybody said, "Thank you very much. That was great, wonderful, great. You made the numbers." And then we would throw those leads away. And we
No.
started on zero again, all over. So after about a year in that company, I said, "Is this what we do? Are we always going to generate stuff and then throw it away and start all over again?" And my boss at the time she said, "Yeah, otherwise we would have no more business." And I
Mm.
sat there and I was like, "What?" So we are making somebody pay and we are generating valuable leads in this case. And we're just throwing them away at the end of the quarter because nobody looks back at the quarter, so nobody remembers. We do it all over again just because that keeps us alive.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that for me is completely the contrary to impact. So we performed, but impact, zero.
No.
And
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't sit well with me. So I
Mm-hmm.
could not do that. I couldn't look at myself in the mirror, throwing away whoever's money it is. I mean, my
Mm-hmm.
own money throwing away is fine, but other people's preferably not. So
Yeah.
that was not impact at all.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody was also interested. So it was just performance.
Hmm.
The denominators that were decided upfront for success, for performance, were there. They were met fine. And
So
then,
what you can touch, what you can read, it's just there. You can grab it. It's real. It's tangible, and we care about that.
yeah,
Mm-hmm. But because Leland, you said that okay, you haven't thought about particularly about the performance or the impact, but what made a shift? Because you moved from that corporate world to consultancy and now to coaching. Was it particular event or situation, and what it was building over time for you to make that shift?
I think it was more building over time. I was getting more awareness of what
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing. I think the example that I just gave you was one of the examples that really made me think. Also, like, do I still want to do this? Do I want to keep on doing this? No, I didn't want to keep on doing this. I wanted it to be a little bit more meaningful And I had a fantastic life in advertising, a really, truly fantastic life. However, at some stage, it started to feel kind of shallow, kind
Mm-hmm.
of like the same trick all over again. Uh, and also because I knew exactly how to do it. So this is not me. If it's something that you start doing on routine, it doesn't challenge me that much anymore. So yeah, I think it went over time, and over time my job changed more into a people manager in the next company that I went into, less into the business, more into the managing of the people. And slowly, slowly that became my main passion.
Mm-hmm.
I think managing people always sounds horrible, but I don't, for lack of a better word.
Yes. Well, absolutely. So that's why I like to like kind of move it to lead people, even though it's also have a different connotation.
Yeah,
But
yeah. And it's we have all these matrices these days, of course, leading from behind, leading from within, leading from above, and I still don't know which one is the one that you would like to use.
mm-hmm.
I am still also a believer that somebody needs to be the leader.
Yes.
So these we have these self-steering teams, which is now, I don't know if it's still fashionable, but a couple of years ago it was. I'm not a believer of that. I think at the end
Mm-hmm.
of the day, it would be helpful at least to have somebody with, like you said in the introduction, with talent and experience. Because you see that today, you see it in politics very, very much these days. Very, very young, active, bright people, but completely lacking any kind of experience. So they're not getting anywhere
Mm-hmm.
because they don't know how to get anywhere. And I wish they would, because I think they would change the world for the better.
Absolutely. I do agree with you. And when we talked about your shift, what because you are also working with young professionals, young people, what kind of patterns do you see when people get stuck in that kind of performance mode?
Yeah, that is something that I see all the time, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And we all hear about it all the time. We hear about everybody age 30 has a burnout. And what I read these days, it's getting younger.
Yes.
Um, they are so focused on doing everything right and doing everything right immediately. So not over time, but they already have, and it's another thing, everything includes their private life. So they have to do everything right. Let's say around the age of 30, everything has to be finished. Finished? Do you know how many years you still have? If, let's say, if you're lucky, you're at one third, not much more, hopefully. So, and they want to have everything done, the perfect job, the perfect results, the perfect salary, the perfect house, the perfect partner, preferably someone like to have kids. And I'm thinking, and I hear myself asking the same question. Okay, so what are you going to do after this? So, and that's also exactly why they get a burnout. I'm not an expert on that. You are more an expert than me there. But one of the reasons they get a burnout because the only thing they see in front of them is a black hole. They're like, yeah, I'm in this job and I have these friends and I'm doing this. And as you know, this fantastic day, get up at 6, listen to two
Oh,
podcasts, go running, go to the gym, all of this before you even get to work.
yeah.
Gee, I would be exhausted if I had to do all of this. But they do that. And I think it's normal because I don't really want to get into social media, but it's what the world keeps
Yes.
betting on them. That is the way to live. And we both have a common friend in America who literally does that. And now she has a baby and she still tries to do it.
Yes.
She still tries to get the run, the podcast, the book, the reading, and everything in.
Mm-hmm.
She even starts her day.
And this is exactly what you have described. So it's like a perfect on paper, but then there is a certain void because it doesn't bring that fulfillment, and you start asking different kind of questions. So who am I? Or if some people lose their job, lose their title, so there is a huge drama because of that, because their whole identity is tied to that uh, job title, to that lifestyle. And I think that it's and we have that conversation recently about AI, right? So you, because you can get fast results with
Yeah.
AI, but there is that. missing part of that kind of struggle of exploring, of failing or learning, right? It's we talk about the context of writing a book, and I give an example of Simon Sinek. So it is about, okay, you can write the book yourself and go through that hustle, the struggle, that kind of, oh, I don't want to write that page today, or and also learning, and then you write a book, and the whole process gives you extra experience. Or you can just ask ChatGPT or any type of AI. It's like, okay, give me the book, and it's there. Yes, you tick the box, but then what?
Yeah, and I that's what we spoke about the other day. I believe it's never yours. I don't think you own it because I think you don't have the emotion with it. You never went through the emotion, like all of those stages that you
Mm-hmm.
mentioned, even like the excitement or the achievement or the failure or the sadness. None
Yeah.
of these emotions showed up because you just externalized it. And without internalizing, I am a true believer that it's never ever going to be yours. It will be something outside of you. And
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, more and more and more younger people believe that using AI for everything is the answer to everything. Now, there's a few people that actually have this memory and they can grasp it and keep it, but most people can't. And I gave you the example that I was making a program on belonging,
Yeah.
and I put it into ChatGPT and I said, make me a program, blah, blah, so many days, so many people. And it was fantastic. And I looked at it and I thought, okay, I can throw this away because this is not mine. It's
Mm-hmm.
not me. There is no me in there. I think maybe that's the best description. There is no me. And it also then has no value for me anymore. It's
Mm-hmm.
not something that I really relate to. It comes out of a computer, it's dropped in my lap, and that's it. And I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure it's totally fine if I run it as is. But am I in it?
Mm-hmm.
Not in that. I am not in that at all. And of course, like you said, this one group of youngsters, which is mainly millennials, identify with their job and their title, etc. And there's a whole generation after that, Gen Z, that really doesn't want to work 5 days a week. Four is fine,
Yeah.
maybe three. They don't want to be in a invested or connected to the company they work for at all. So you see 180 degrees change. And of course, generalizing things is never correct. There's always a big group that's not like that. But in general, that is what I see. And I also see this, and that's getting a little bit less. But when I started coaching millennials, people my age would say, oh, millennials are terrible.
Yes.
Oh, millennials are terrible. You can't work with them. They are terrible. They're awful. I'm not a believer of those kinds of ways of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
That's like my parents would say, "Don't watch television; it's bad for you." Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that honestly. And some people my age didn't even have a television. But so if you always take it from your point of view, in my time it was we did. You're never going to get a single step further.
Yes.
So I got very interested in millennials, and I love them. And I find people my age quite boring and stuck, and I don't think they're going to help the world forward. And I do believe that in every generation, young people are the ones that need to perform and make impact,
Yeah.
preferably.
But then you said something in the context of AI, and I think it's gonna tie to also belonging. That okay, that because you said like, oh, if it's gonna be through AI, it's not gonna have me. I won't be there. But in order to say that, you need to know yourself. You need to know who you are, right?
Oh, difficult question or
but
difficult
but
observation.
some kind
Probably
of
yes.
level of self-awareness,
Of
right?
course.
So it's like who am I, what my values are, like what am I stand for, right? What am I, like where are my boundaries? I think that kind of information are needed, and maybe with the younger generation that it's not developed yet. So for them, when they use AI, that kind of misalignment doesn't occur because they're just like, okay, well, that's part of them, right?
Ooh, that's a scary thought, and probably there is a lot of truth in that. Yeah, yeah. I do when I coach or when I sit as a mentor with people, the main thing I talk about to them is awareness. Because I always believe that if you are aware, of yourself or the things you are doing, you have already made such a big step forward that it's also probably true. On the other hand, if you would ask me, do I know myself? I know quite a bit, but do I really, really, really know myself or everything? I would never dare to say yes.
No, I think that I would never say that because uh, there is a certain expression from the Polish book, and I don't know how to translate it, but I'm just gonna say it as a meaning that you know yourself as much as you've been kind of tested because you haven't been in many situations, so you
Ah,
don't know.
yes.
Right? Because we want to, sometimes we think we're gonna behave in a certain way, and the situation comes and we behave completely differently. So I would go with your kind of approach, like, okay, we know each other, we know ourselves a bit because we work on ourselves, we get to know, but I wouldn't dare to say, oh, I know myself so well, and I'm sure I'm gonna behave in a certain way when the life's gonna test me. I don't like, the more I I getting to know myself, the less I would say that it's like, oh, sure, I know everything. No, I don't.
No, exactly. And also, I was thinking in the line of this conversation that we were going to have, we in coaching, we talk a lot about purpose. I always find it complicated.
Mhm.
Okay, you have a purpose or you think where you want to be. But I also think this purpose changes. So you yourself change over time with your phases in life. Um, I would like to be a gardener these days, but I never wanted to be a gardener when I was 20, ever. That was never something that I wanted.
Mhm.
So I also think things evolve, things evaluate. It's like there's an evolution in everything. So thinking that you are the same person through life, yes, of course, you are basically there is
Mhm.
something which is the same. But many things will change. Many things will change. The people around you, the world you live in, the nature, the politics, anything will change.
Yeah.
Climate. So, I mean, there's so many things changing. It would be weird if we were not changing.
Yes. And and I know no I don't know how about your clients, but many of my clients, when they think about that kind of decisions, or as you said, the purpose, there is a certain conception that it has to be like, when they say it, it's going to be for forever,
Yeah.
right? So it's like, oh, when I'm decided that I'm going to move in that direction, like in my career, so I need to stick to it. Seems like that is like the decisions, they are hard and they have to stay forever. And I think that it's, and I'm talking from my perspective from years ago, I was the same, that if I'm gonna that move, it has to be perfect. I need to think it through, and it has to be, that's going to be monumental in my life, which would never was. And the longer I live and the longer I coach, I have very fluid thinking about that, right? It's like, as you said, it's evolution. It's changing. We are changing. Situations around us changing, and they are testing us in a different ways. And I don't think and any decision is just forever and it's going to stay, and I'm going to stick to it no matter what.
No, and this has to, sorry if I make a little bridge to belonging, but of course I'm all over belonging these days. Um, that also fits in with belonging because if you're in a corporate life, in a corporate job, in a corporate environment, and those are usually then also your friends because you come from whatever, an academic environment with people that you studied together with for years and then you work with them and you really, this is your environment. This is where you belong. And then one day you may wake up and think, do I? Do I belong here?
Yeah.
Are these still my people? And if you're a loyal person, you are, I am, then you try to hang on to those kinds of environments. And those environments might not serve you anymore, one. And actually, they even might make you unhappy or lonely or wondering what's wrong with you. When nothing is wrong with you, it's just evolution, it's just evolving. It is you have become slightly different. Everybody has become slightly different in that group of people. That doesn't make anything right or wrong because that's not it. But you might want to really consider, where do I belong? Is it a country where I belong? Is it, for instance, I call myself a traveler these days. I find that I belong best when I'm traveling. Even if it's not
Mhm.
physically traveling, I could be traveling in my head. I can be exploring other things online or in another way. So belonging also becomes something that evolves over time. So you
Mhm.
can have many, many friends from childhood, and that's lovely. And please keep them because that's very valuable if to have still people in your life that knew you when you were young, or know your parents, or know where you come from. That's an extreme value in life. I think
Yes.
that is important. But later on, you might belong to people that have, or not belong. As you know, I've just lived in Spain for a little bit, and there were a lot of people with at least political views that were so not mine that I did not feel I belonged there. And also, I don't want to belong with those people because that says something about me as well. So it becomes more and more important, I think, that we find our tribe.
Mhm.
Probably it is tribe. Probably tribe is as close as I got in terms of having a definition. And
Yes.
tribe can be, I keep saying my best friends these days, and it's true, are the ones that I speak to online. I have a few friends that I speak to regularly online and I have meaningful conversations or not. We just laugh or cry.
Yeah.
And they have become the people that I feel like I belong with them. And
Mhm.
they're part of my life and they're in my heart. And that becomes more and more important. And like you said in the beginning, belonging with yourself is the
Yeah.
same question. That is not an easy road to find out who am I, who do I, where do I feel comfortable, how do I feel comfortable, how do I want to live? I
Mhm.
want to still be very severe with myself. So
Yeah.
I really do not want to get up in the morning. I really don't. I want to have a slow morning and I want to have a coffee in bed. And I had people staying with me and they're judgmental and they're saying, "Why are you going back to bed with your coffee?" And I said, "Well, you know why? Because I like that. And it makes me feel good and it starts my day in a nice way. And I actually, honestly, do not care what you think about it." But that took a very long time for me
Mm.
to get to the stage where I could say, "And I don't care what you think about it." Ooh, that still hurts.
Mhm.
Because, of course, like everybody else, I want to be liked. I want people to think I'm relatively normal.
So I'm just like when you said that now, so I'm just curious about because like where's that fine line? Because like okay, I don't care what you think, and still wanting to belong. Just like
Very complicated. It's a very complicated line. Yeah, that's the one I find very complicated because I'm also this person that can explode and like say, "Okay, so go away. I don't
Mm-hmm.
want you anymore," which is not completely true. I just don't want to be. It has to do with judgment. It has a lot
Mm-hmm.
to do with judgment in my case. And every time I talk to about belonging, it always has a lot to do about judgment because I believe you can only belong in yourself and with others if there is relatively little judgment. Because if you have to say all the time, "No, no, it's okay because," or "No, I'm doing this because," or "Just take me as I am." I think you can
Mm-hmm.
only belong if you take yourself as you are, and then at least try and find a few people around you that take you as you are as well.
Oh, we kind of as usually covered so many
I know it's
aspects, and I
always the
see
same
so
for
many
me.
things already, ideas for maybe for a series of podcasts. But we, when you said that, and I just wanted to kind of make it conclusion from our conversation, because we started from that performance versus impact, and going to that belonging, and I think that it's a huge part of it. So belonging to yourself. What and you have a journey and you share that journey with us, and I think that many people are who's going to listen to us are still maybe in that kind of performance and slightly having a introduction to impact and daring to change. What would you say to them to as a comfort, or maybe as a guidance, as a mentor, to so they dare to shift, they dare to belong to themselves, they dare to less judge themselves and have a more fulfilled, more joyful life?
So one of my clients the other day, this week, went for a job interview in a completely different work environment. This person used to work in IT and is now thinking of moving to a completely different area. My advice was leave your whole IT beliefs in your job, bring only yourself. And the person said, sorry, excuse me, bring myself? I said, yes, because the person they want to hire is the person that is in front of them, is not the person with the
Mm.
competences that are not relevant for the new job or not as relevant. Of course, the experience is relevant, but the competence not necessarily.
Yeah.
So show up as yourself. And that is probably the most difficult thing to do is don't show up as the person you think they want to see. And second guessing is a big part of that. Don't second guess what other people are expecting from you,
Mm-hmm.
but be what you are expecting from you.
Mm-hmm.
Be how you want to be. Show the parts of yourself that you want to show. You don't have to be, fully transparent, show everything, tell them everything about the pain you have in your little toe that you bumped in the bathroom yesterday. That's not exactly what I mean. But what I mean is be as close as possible to the you that you can show today. Because that's another thing. It is just about today. We don't
Mm-hmm.
know anything about tomorrow. Yesterday is already past. So be there today. So when you wake up this morning, look in the mirror and say, hey, I actually like you, this person that I'm seeing in the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
Better if you love the person in the mirror, but start with liking.
Yeah.
Show up as you. Show up as much as possible as you. And that's also what I try to give to my coaches as a question. Like every day, try to look at least for 5 minutes every day at yourself. Am I happy with my day? Is there anything I'm lacking? Is there something I still want to do or not do? And that's already a big challenge.
Mm.
Show up as you.
Mm-hmm.
I think showing up as you instead of this performing person that you have build yourself into or have made yourself into because you know you need to make the meet the
Mm-hmm.
requirements. You will meet the requirements. You are already good at that.
Yeah.
So be you. Try to be you. Show
Mm-hmm.
who you are. And if they hire you for you, then you're going to be maybe happy in that job. If they hire you for this person you're trying to be, just imagine how hard that's going to be because you have to be that made up person forever. It's undoable.
Mm-hmm. It's yeah, and then most likely you're gonna hit the burnout at some point because you're gonna be exhausting from performing that
Exactly.
persona, and it's just gonna be that the personality is gonna crack, and then when the like identity burnout, as I call it, is gonna show up. So to kind of avoid it, that identity crisis or burnout, what is it that help you to, as you said, start liking yourself, being more of you? And maybe what is it today that you're still doing? It's like, okay, is it that kind of practicing of say self-liking or self-loving, or
I
is it
think one
something
of the things that
completely
I've really learned in terms of doing that is prioritizing the things I want to do and
okay?
not excusing them. I do used to be really good at canceling things. I used to be the master in canceling. So canceling my sports class, canceling my doctor's appointment, canceling actually all the things that were good for me because either somebody wanted to do something else with me or invited me or somebody needed me, especially that. I like to be needed. That's my biggest challenge. And nowadays I hear myself say, no, sorry, I have a Pilates class at 11. So I'm not available until 12:30.
Mhm.
Oh, can you not change the Pilates? So in the old days, I would say, yeah, 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 sure. I will check if I can change the
Mm,
Pilates. So prioritizing me, I think has been maybe the biggest shift.
mm,
I'm still not perfect by far, but prioritizing me is definitely what I'm trying to do.
mm. I think it's a beautiful. Yeah, summary of what we kind of discuss in terms of impact, in terms of belonging, prioritizing ourselves in our life because we are the main characters in our life, and that would be good if we take care of that main character.
And I also believe that if you do not take care of yourself, it's impossible to take care of others.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I always, and I know that it's like well known, spoke many times, that example of when you are in the airplane and when they say, like, put the first
Yeah.
oxygen mask on yourself to help others. And I think that it's a very visual representation of what we talked about it. So when you are listening to it and you're kind of in that void or you're kind of struggle what's next for you, oxygen mask first. Look at yourself. Get to know yourself. Be, get to yourself as a friend. Get to start liking yourself and maybe loving, and then you're gonna be more of you. And I think that we need more of you in today's world.
More of us.
More of
More
us.
of us.
Yes. So, Leland, thank you so much for today's conversation. And I have such a feeling that it's like not enough time. We just touch some of the topics, and as always with when we have our conversations. So I think that we need to go back with the series of those
I think so.
conversations.
I think at least 12.
Yes. So thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, for sharing you with us, and giving the bit of inspiration for having more impact and less performance.
Thank you,
Into
Anna. It was a great pleasure.